Good morning, everyone. Welcome to worship this morning. It's great to have you with us as we reflect on Good Friday and the things that happened in the story of Jesus. As we begin, I wish to acknowledge country. I wish to acknowledge the Darramaragal people, First Nation people of this region, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. In the shadowy mist of morning, we hear the dark story of a day of great sadness. This story from so long ago can feel so removed from our own. But when we listen again, we hear the stories of ordinary people caught in difficult circumstances. Quick decisions, fear, chaos and confusion, these are still mistakes we make today. We journey with them, hoping their stories will shed light on our own story.
Please respond in the bolded writings. We are not afraid to enter this space of worship. We are not afraid to face our failures. We are not afraid to walk into darkness. So let us worship the God who does not shy away from sadness, but instead makes endings into beginnings. Please stand if you are able as we sing our first hymn.
Please be seated. This morning, we are going to be reflecting on a series of characters who are in the Easter story as we go on. We'll have a rotation of people doing the reading for us, and myself, Celia and Lloyd will do short reflections after each of those. At the end of quite a few of them, we're just going to be singing 2 verses of different songs. And I invite you just to stay seated as we sing those songs together and we reflect on what they're saying to us today. Each of the images that we have reflect a different way that people have responded to the story.
This reading is from Matthew 26, verses 36 to 46. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here a while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour?" he asked Peter. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come, and the Son of Man is delivered to the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer."
We are the faces of good intentions. We love as love is expected. We hope, but the warm reality lulls us to a space of slumber. Sometimes we get here because we're tired. Sometimes we get here because we're bored. Sometimes it's because we do too much. Or sometimes we can just not be bothered. In that brief moment, if only we knew how important it was, how extraordinary that ordinary moment was.
Did not condemn the disciples when they let him down, nor does he condemn us. Instead, he loved them, teaching them the value of watching and praying, the value of that ordinary sacred moment, and urged them to try again.
We pray for all good intentions. We pray for those caught in the cycle of hope, which has led to disappointment. Please remain seated as we reflect with the next hymn.
This reading is taken from Matthew 26, verses 47 to 56. While he was still sleeping, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man, arrest him." Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Do what you came for, friend." Then the men stepped forward and seized Jesus and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Put your swords back in its place," Jesus said to him, "for all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Do you think that I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen in this way?" In that hour Jesus said to the crowd, "Am I leading a rebellion that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and fled.
I am in the face of limited vision. I do not listen to the experience of others who understand things differently to me. I become impatient with things not evolving as they should, like Judas. I think that I am right and everyone around me has lost their way. I can justify just about anything. Betrayal, greed. I can justify myself by not listening or questioning or recognizing that I do not know it all. I am in the face of limited vision.
Even knowing that he had been betrayed, Jesus did not condemn Judas. Neither does he condemn us. Instead, he taught of the value of welcoming the stranger, engaging with those who we might shun, and seeing worth in every soul.
We pray for all with limited vision. We pray for those whose eyes are closed to another possibility. God, may your grace guide our ways, both in where we are to go and how we are called to be. We're going to continue singing O Sacred Head Sore Wounded whilst remaining in our seats.
Matthew chapter 26, verses 57 to 68. Those who had arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had assembled. But Peter followed him at a distance, right up to the courtyard of the high priest. He entered and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false evidence against Jesus so that they could put him to death. But they did not find any, though many false witnesses came forward. Finally, 2 came forward and declared, "This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." Then the high priest stood up and said to Jesus, "Are you not going to answer? What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you?" But Jesus remained silent. The high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." "You have said so," Jesus replied. "But I say to all of you, from now on you will see Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we need any more witnesses? Look, now you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think?" "He is worthy of death," they answered. Then they spit in his face and struck him with their fists. Others slapped him and they said, "Prophesy to us, Messiah. Who hit you?"
I am the face of the certainty of God. I know God. I know all the rules about God. And if you do not fit within my rules, you are not of God. Like Caiaphas, I will only see what helps me remain in control of my world.
Caiaphas had God bound, Jesus told him what he would one day see moving, his vision from mirage to reality.
We pray for all who are certain of you, God. We pray that we may always remember the great mystery of who you are, and that you may meet us even in the unexpected way. We sing the next song seated.
Matthew 26, verses 69 to 75. Now, Peter was sitting out in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him. You also were with Jesus of Galilee," she said. But he denied it before them all. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. Then he went out to the gateway, where another servant girl saw him and said to the people there, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." He denied it again with an oath, "I don't know the man." After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." Then he began to call down curses, and he swore to them, "I don't know the man." Immediately a rooster crowed. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken, "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly.
I am the face of confusion, fear, and shame. We travel well together, spurring instantaneous responses that later bring regret. Fear, my sting, can paralyze. The greatest strength is the unknown. I can conjure images of horror as if that is all that matters. I can be very convincing. I thrive on misinformation and ignorance. Peter was stung by me in the courtyard, and I can sting you too. I will point out the worthlessness of your good intentions and the agendas of those who disagree. I can make strangers look like enemies and the future look bleak indeed.
Confusion, fear, and shame paralyzed Peter, but Jesus saw him with understanding. Jesus' forgiveness and encouragement released him to be bold and brave. Jesus was confronted with fear, but his faith in God's way was stronger. He knew that love overrides fear, and that there is no horror so great that can separate us from the love of God.
We pray for all who are trapped in fear and confusion, those living with the shame of difficult choices. God, we pray your graceful presence with us. May shame be turned to courage. We'll sing our next hymn seated.
Matthew 27, verses 1 to 2 and 11 to 26. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people made their plans how to have Jesus executed. So they bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time, they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you? Jesus Barabbas, or Jesus who is called the Messiah?" For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus who is called the Messiah?" Pilate asked. They all answered, "Crucify him." "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood," he said. "It is your responsibility." All the people answered, "His blood is on us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified.
I am the face of expedience. I can see only what will benefit my career. I see the threats all around me and am not willing to lose what I've worked so hard to gain, no matter what the cost. Pilate understands my sting. He knew his career was in danger if he did not make the popular choice. I am the master of compromise and corner cutting, focused on the end result regardless of the carnage in my wake. I am the face of expedience.
The way of God is sometimes against the stream of the crowd. It seeks a bigger picture, but always to the benefit of all, not just one. It is patient and kind, not envious or vengeful or proud. God's way endures all things with compassion and grace and is the way of life.
We pray for all who seek power and authority at whatever the cost. Awaken hearts, remind your people of the true hope of humanity, the possibility of the benefit to all, not just to self. God, may your grace guide our ways, both in where we are to go and how we are called to be. Our next hymn is My Song is Love Unknown, and I invite you to stand as we sing this together.
The reading is from Matthew 27:27 to 37. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. they put a staff in his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on his head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall, but after tasting it, he refused to drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots. And sitting down, they kept watch over him. Above his head, they placed the written charge against him: "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews."
I am the face of derision. I thrive by pointing out the faults in others, and I can use humor as my disguise. My sting can be cruel and long-lasting. I use taunts and rough treatment to goad others into fighting back, to silence others. In fear, it may be their turn next. That is how I win. By putting others down, I seek to make myself feel better, more important, or less stupid.
When Jesus was mocked and ridiculed, he did not respond in kind. He could have used his words to be hurtful. He could have hit back. He could have called for his supporters to rally and help. Instead, he offered us the example of non-violent resistance, not out of weakness or incapacity, but out of wisdom and his faith in God's way of peace.
We pray for all of those who use humour and derision to cover and protect their own, for those who are afraid to stand against it, as they may be the next victim, for those who bear the brunt. God, in your transformational way, help all to see a different way. Both in where we're to go and how we're called to be. We sit as we sing the next song.
The face of despair, from Matthew 27. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately, one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." Many women who were there, watching from a distance, they had followed Jesus from Galilee to care for his needs. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. As evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who had himself become a disciple of Jesus. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body, and Pilate ordered that it be given to him. Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and placed it in his own new tomb that he had cut out of the rock. He rolled a big stone in front of the entrance to the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there opposite the tomb.
I am the face of despair. Here, there's nothing but darkness. All hope is gone. We sit in the sadness. I am so blinding that you cannot see any future. I follow disappointment, betrayal, or tragedy. And I work like a cloud of heaviness and darkness, obliterating all that is hopeful and good. I am the face of despair.
When faced with despair, Jesus held on to his own faith by reciting a psalm. The psalm enabled him to keep before him the promise of God's kingdom. The psalm reminded him that light will always overcome darkness.
We pray for those overwhelmed by despair. Do not leave them in their hour of need. Help them to see those around them. As they struggle to continue on their journey, give them hope, a glimmer of light that you have not left them and that there is a way to go forward. Good.
It's in this moment that we have the undeniable fact that Jesus was human. For some people, this doesn't really matter that much. They much prefer to focus on the fact that Jesus was innately connected with God. But this does matter to us, because Jesus does understand what it is to be human, to understand what it's like to be betrayed by your friends, to be deserted, to be judged, to be shamed. Jesus knows what this feels like, and Jesus knows what it is to die. Jesus was one of us, fully human in the lived experience. But he was also something more. And it's that we are able to hold on to as we too sit in our moments of despair and sadness, in our moments of shame, of embarrassment, when we must face the truth of who we are and what we've done. It's in these moments, just like Jesus, we have to trust God. We need to trust that God too will not desert us, even though it may feel like it. We're going to stand and sing the song, "Nothing is Lost on the Breath of God." It's a Colin Gibson song. I'm just checking that I got that right. Yes, Colin Gibson song. I'm not sure if you know it, but it's quite a beautiful one, and you'll pick up the tune as we go along. Let's stand and sing this. Nothing is lost on the breath of God. Nothing is lost forever. God's breath is love, and that love will remain holding the world forever. To light, no hair to find, no flower to breathe in its glory. No webs in the ocean, no dust in the air, but is counted and told in God's story. Nothing is lost to the eyes of God. Nothing is lost forever. God sees with love, and that love will remain holding the world forever. No journey too far, no distance too great, no valley of darkness too blinding, no creature too humble, no giant too small, for God to be seeking and finding. Nothing is lost in the heart of God. Nothing is lost forever. God's heart is love, and that love will remain holding the world forever. No impulse of love, no office of care, no moment of life in its fullness, no beginning too late, no ending too soon, but is gathered and known in its fullness. Please be seated. We reflect on each of these faces, and it's easy to see the other. It takes true courage to remember these prayers are also for ourselves. Far from perfect, caught in reactions, our fingerprints can also be found in compromising situations. Good intentions, limited vision, certainty of God, confusion, fear, shame, expediency, derision, despair. At different times in our journey, they can be found in all of our faces. For us to grow, for us to truly live in God's grace, we have to acknowledge those things that separate us from God, from each other, and from ourselves. So during the next song, you'll be invited to come and place your fingerprint in the darkness as a way to confess our place in it. We're going to sing Deep in the Human Heart to the tune of Diademeter. Great. We sit amongst a great sea of faces, all of which carry their own story.
We remember those with sadness and sorrow. We remember the dark underside of which human beings are sadly capable of. That great suffering that no words can express and no comfort be given.
On these days, it is hard to remember that there is a God who cares. The long silence of companionship can be hard to bear. Even Jesus had trouble hearing it, and yet it is here.
For a time, the light went out of the world, but this was no ending for God's story. God is here in the darkness, silent alongside our tears, patient in our sorrow, compassionate in our reality.
Go in peace, in the deep presence of God. Go disturbed by the uncomfortable death of Jesus. Go in wonder, in the yet unknown Spirit.
Go and receive God's blessing of peace.